The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency George Manneh Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia. I request protocol to escort His Excellency. On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Liberia, to welcome His Excellency George Manneh Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia, and invite him to address the Assembly.
His Excellency Saba Korosi, President of the 77th United Nations General Assembly, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to address this 77th section of the United Nations General Assembly on behalf of the government and people of Liberia. Let me congratulate His Excellency Saba Korosi on his election as President of this 77 sections of the United Nations General Assembly and assure him of Liberia's further support. I would also like to commend your predecessor, His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Shahid, for a job well done in administering the affairs of the 76 sections of the General Assembly. Let me also extend my profound thanks and appreciation to His Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, for his remarkable and visionary leadership. This year's Assembly is taking place at a difficult time when, even as the world is recovering from the scourge of COVID-19, we continue to face the challenges of the war in Ukraine, climate change and its devastating effects on our environment. Just as the Ukrainian people are enduring the harsh impact of this unwarranted military incursion, the rest of the world is feeling the harsh consequences of economic downturn caused by disruption in global supply chain, food insecurity, and rising prices of basic goods and services. The theme of this year's Assembly, a watershed movement, transformative solutions to interlocking challenges, is both appropriate and meaningful. It not only reminds us about the current state of our world and provide us the space to reflect on the multiple challenges that confront us today. They include the health and socio-economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the devastating effects of climate change, environmental concerns, poverty reduction, food insecurity, and gender inequality. The challenges confronting the world today will require immediate collective global actions with the United Nations at the center of the search for solutions. In so doing, we must give special consideration to the needs of developing countries, particularly the least developed countries, in line with the Doha Program of Action for Least Developed Countries for the decade 2022-2031. Working together with the United Nations family, Liberia hereby commits to protect our planet, to promote peace, prevent conflicts, to ensure sustainable financing, and to boost partnership. Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this commitment is reflected in the proper agenda for prosperity and development, which embodies the expressions of our shared determination to achieve peace, prosperity, national development, address extreme poverty, inequalities, regional disparities, infrastructure deficit, climate change, and equitable distribution of our national wealth. Given Liberia's youthful populations of more than 60%, my government initiated a youth rehabilitation and empowerment program, the Social Economic Empowerment of Disadvantaged Youth Project, between 2019 and 2021, with the subsequent launch of a $13 million United States national fund drive for the rehabilitation and empowerment of at-risk youth in Liberia. We remain of the firm conviction that when empowered, our youth can be a positive force for good. As Liberia Feminine in Chief, women empowerment and the promotion of gender equality remain key priorities of my government. Women do not only comprise almost half of our country's population, but they also play important roles at all levels of society and must be given equal deserved attention, support, and a place at the leadership and governance table in our society. To this end, we have developed a legal framework, including the ratification of regional and international instruments to address gender inequality, which are being carried out as a result of social, cultural perception, practices, and stereotypes that support male dominance and the subordination of women. I would like to inform you that my government, together with the UN partners, is implementing the EU Spotlight Initiative to end violence and harmful traditional practices against women and girls and promote their sexual and reproductive health and rights. Furthermore, the government of Liberia is currently implementing a $50 million United States ECOWAS-funded project to enhance the capacity of female entrepreneurs. Mr. President, I wish to express Liberia's sincere gratitude to our local and international partners, both multilateral and bilateral, for their continued support to our national efforts in combating the pandemic. As a result of that support, Liberia is well on its way to achieving herd immunity, hopefully by the end of this year, with 67% of the population already fully vaccinated. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, my government continues to take actions through the formulations of new policy framework and strategic interventions to address the impacts of climate change and protect the environment. Liberia commits to achieving a target of 64% reduction in carbon emission below business as usual by 2030. We anticipate that the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Egypt, COP27, will provide the opportunity to accelerate actions towards the goal of the Paris Agreement and the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Mr. President, Excellencies, sustainable development can take place only in a peaceful and secure environment. In fulfillment of our commitment to the maintenance of regional and global peace and security, Liberia takes pride as a troop-contributing country, with Liberian troops and other security apparatus serving in the United Nations multidimensional integrated stabilization mission in Mali, the United Nations mission in South Sudan, and the United Nations Interim Security Forces for Abai. We thank the United Nations and our bilateral, international, multilateral partners for the support we continue to receive in facilitating our contribution to global and regional peace and security. Mr. President, Excellencies, I am pleased to report that the IMF latest appraisal of the ongoing program it has with Liberia is very positive. It shows that inflation rates have been significantly reduced. There are now better prospects for economic growth compared to previous years in spite of the negative effects of COVID-19. Our effort at instituting new policy measures to fight grabs were also particularly commended in the report, along with our adherence to prudent fiscal management. Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, democracy in Liberia also continues to grow from strength to strength. After many years of civil upheaval, Liberia is becoming a stronghold for peace and a safe haven for democracy. This is because we have taken actions in the last few years to build and strengthen democratic institutions such as the press and the Liberian judiciary. We have put forward new legislation that empower the media while eradicating those that have tended to suppress free speech. I am proud to say that from the beginning of my administration to date, there is no political prisoner in Liberia. Our regional conferences of the Manneh River Union and the ECOWAS, which have been called to discuss efforts to restore democracy in a few troubled spots in our West African region, Liberia has constantly and consistently pleaded for a strict adherence to constitutional terms limit and for a return to democratic civilian rule in cases of military takeover. Liberia is expected to hold presidential and legislative elections in October 2023. The forthcoming election will be crucial to consolidating our democracy. In this regard, I wish to underscore my government's unwavering commitment to ensuring that the enabling environment continues to exist for the conduct of peaceful, free, fair, transparent, and inclusive elections. This is in keeping with my commitment to ensure that the democratic will of the Liberian people is respected at all times. In the run-up to the 2023 elections, it is incumbent upon all prospective candidates to avoid the incitement of violence and any other behavior that could deprive the Liberian people of the peaceful space that they need to freely exercise their franchise and freely express their political will in choosing their leaders. We must let the people decide, and then we must respect their decision. This is indeed the true essence of democracy. Mr. President, Excellencies, if we must advance common good of humanity, the implementation of the 2030 Agenda and the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, then international cooperation must be given primacy, and the principles of solidarity must have its rightful place. We have the platform to generate the transformative solutions we seek. The world is watching. Our people are watching. And we must now seize the moment, confront the challenges, and collectively endeavor to lift the poor from poverty and hunger, sickness and disease, and ensure progress, development, and prosperity for all. At the same time, we must protect our planet, guarantee and maintain global peace, security, and stability. Mr. President, we must pursue efforts to make the United Nations more efficient, more effective, more inclusive, more accountable, and more suited for the purpose. I thank you.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Liberia for the statement just made, and I request protocol to escort His Excellency.